Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. How's the sound, guys? Belbrick, thank you for the 46 month. 46 month, eh? Perfect. Great, thank you. Oops, sorry. All right, we got an exciting topic today to go through, and we look forward to hear your feedback and inputs and even suggestions. So welcome everyone for today's topic, which main focus is the TC overhaul work. A lot of you guys have been asking for focus on updating on this system, which finally is happening to the better. So yeah, things have been a little bit silent, I guess, from our, I guess, your point of view. But I can assure you that we are very busy building a hell of a content expansion update to the game. Devil's Reflex, thank you for the 38th month. May this update set the cursor for the years. We are all very... Let me just crank that window up so I can see before it cuts off. One moment, guys. We are very excited to hear about the new TC. Thank you very much. Gilbert Wombat, with the 32 month. It's time, baby. Chicka boom! Can't wait for this stuff. Keep the good work up. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we're happy that you tune in today so we can have a deep dive on a very exciting topic that a lot of you guys have been expressing to needed a big lift, right? We want more fishes. There's a lot of things we all want more of. The big question is prioritizing all of things. G-Man with the 60 month. Thank you very much. Excited for you to remove Siege Window with that TC update. So today we're going to go through the new system we have in place that we talked a little bit about, over the past month. Stelrex, thank you for the 25 month. You're killing it today with the subs, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. There's always been a long topic when it comes to in-game currency, microtransactions, skins versus the subscription-based model, right? And, for the, I don't know, the 20th time, sometime we do a little touch of the topic. As I've said before, our goal and the majority so far of active player base have been, voting for subscription-based model, so we don't sacrifice game content and value that is better for the players, and usually also cheaper in the long run for the majority of the players. No pay to win and such. But if things are changing the direction, we need to change or adapt. Obviously, we're not blind to do so. But our goal and dream is to be able to run this game without those kind of small interferences. But like I said, if everyone agrees that we should change now all of a sudden, we can look for that. But that wouldn't be optimal for the players and the game. But, this stream will focus only the TC discussions today. The next stream will be the combat focus. Drink the saft. I'm drinking a little saft, yes. All right, so we're simply busy bees building on Reckoning, as you know. So nothing really to update other than that, as you know. So I guess we simply will continue to our next topic if we are ready to do so. Let me see. So Reckoning TC overhaul. Right, so I can go straight into our test server just to show you go through the main gameplay content and rules, I also have a map that I want to show you guys, and also we are happy to get feedback on it, input on it, and you know, we are still in development process, so we are fine-tuning things, we're finishing some of the systems, and there's still some room for tweaks, updates, but obviously not complete rewriting systems, right? No spoilers, please. I mean, we are spoiling the content that is necessary to prepare everyone and get you up on page when it comes to, you know, we're gonna have a PTR obviously soon where we want to go through a lot of testing from especially combat and obviously the TC system rules. So should we start by taking a little quick look on the new map proposal we have as a draft, which means we have divided Milan into regions. Currently, let me just open one little window. Right, let me jump over here, and then we have this little baby. So this is Milan divided in natural regions. As you can see, we currently have 31 regions. We've been working a little bit on this, you know, should it go up a little bit, should it go down a little bit? That is a tricky balance. We want everyone to be able to participate, from large groups and guilds to obviously smaller groups. So you don't have to be a keep owner to participate in trying to siege and control any of these regions. And so anyone can claim a region. So just to clarify a little bit, you see there's a round blob inside some of the regions. Those are the keeps, as you may know. They have their specific area around those keeps still with their own influence. But then we have the regions. You can see them in different colors. This is our current version. Like I said, 31 regions. And you can try to claim any of these regions. They all have their own unique bonuses. Anything from a manufacturing place like a mining camp or a lumber mill system, where if you control it, then obviously they work for you, and you can go to this place and gather the resources they have produced, and then obviously bring it wherever you want, right? We got a hype chest. What the hell is this? It's a choo-choo, eh? Choo-choo. So let me bring up one document here. Right, so anything from specific guild bonuses to, like I said, production, manufacturing machineries that allows you to go there, empty those, and you know, use that materials, right? So there's obviously quite a list of different things and powers and bonuses within each of these regions. Obviously we're open ears if you know, you have some interesting suggestions in terms of those kind of bonuses, buffs or manufactories. You know, we're happy to hear that now as early as possible if we want to, you know, if there's something that fits and we want to add that as well. The Empire with 36 months, thank you very much, appreciate it. You're making TC great again. That is a goal, right? So we discussed this over the month since TC have matured. You know, everyone have got deep into what we had, and we slowly, you know, pinpointed what isn't fun, what isn't that great, and more we discussed through that. We went closer and closer to a regional based world, and this is the draft of that. Obviously, keeps will have their own strength and bonuses, and also that's obviously something we try to promote as well. You know, why go for a keep? There should be some obvious bonuses tied to that as well, right? But this is the first big step also to just make sure that anyone can jump in, have fun, and participate in trying to siege any of these regions. And our focus have been, how do we make this exciting and fun? Obviously, we gather tons of feedback from you guys when it comes to sieges that happen since day one, how exhausting it can be, how, you know, devastating it can be if you lose everything and you want to take a break from the game, or you simply just lost so much invested in a base. So our goal have always been to, you know, try to promote more fun, meaningful, a little bit easier to access from small scale to large scale without heavily investing incredible amount of resources and siege machineries. You know, we still want it to be kind of a pain in the ass to completely wipe enemy base from the game, because we all know what that means. It usually hits a negative impact to the game and the players, depending on obviously on what side you are on. You will still be able to wipe someone from the map, but it should be time consuming and should be costing you, because we want to steer everyone's attention to have more fun, engaging siege moments, and this is that system. So I'm gonna show you one of the bases that we built. Again, a draft, so there may be tweaks and again room for suggestions and input from you guys. I'm gonna go through the real rules, how to siege and claim one of these regions, how that's working so far. So hopefully that will be clear for everyone. So let us jump into the game, shall we? To show you a little bit of that. Let's see, where the hell do I have my window here? Okay. So here we are in Myrland on a test build. Let's turn it off. So, okay, this is a camp, a base, outpost, I think is the right term. Which is the control hub of one of regions. So we are one of these regions right now. Outside of these, sneak peek of Comet UA. Yeah, ignore that for now. What you saw there is a work in progress draft, so nothing final. So that we're gonna dig deeper into that, obviously, in the next stream. But as you can see here, so this is also a kind of like a placeholder siege camp tent, as you recognize it. But outside of each of these outposts so far are 3 kind of siege tents, but they will be modified and look different. There will be fire pots or explosive urn pots in these that you can produce or obtain. And you pick one of these up and then you run over here. So obviously I almost forgot one thing. The first step to engage in a siege is actually to access the map. I don't have the regions here now, but you know, this map here, you click on this map to get information on the region and declare a siege. When that happens, that, you know, you declare a siege on trying to claim this region from someone else, which means there's a timer starting. And we are currently looking at an hour of timer. So we're not talking about a day's timer here. This is something that you should be able to do, jump in and have an awesome siege event or more. So you initiate the siege from the UI map here. And when you have done that, that is the terms for the owners and you as the attacker. Let's go back here in game. So the first stage to siege one of these camps is you take the explosive urns, you know, there will be more details on exactly what it is from these tents. You run over here. Now this base is open already, so I can't show you the exact how it looks, but I'm going through the rules. You place this explosive here outside of the gate, and if you have placed, currently we have 20 urns required. So we're not talking about the huge grind here. You know, you have 3 tents that they are produced from. So if you split up the team and you can run here, you will fill that quite quickly. And when you do that, they explode. So the entire gate will open up. So you can enter here. C4 placed, exactly, kind of. And then obviously when you enter here, you're in the inner yard. You can access here, run over, but you are still closed into this small in yard or outer yard, I would say. The defenders on the other side. The next phase is that you need to open the gates to enter the next stage of this place. We will have a wheel or a lever like this that you enable, and then this slowly ticks up. So obviously that is the time for you to enter, right, when it ticks up. Obviously, you know, we're happy to get feedback on some of the designs here that we're gonna take a look on. There's another gate here, so there's some option to spread around. In this case, we have open it, so I can access this place. And as soon as you access this place, this is the flag with the ownership. So if you are, you know, whatever guild, this is your flag, right? Your guild banner. You own it. But as soon as enemies that are sieging enter this area here, it's, you know, like king of the hill. This starts to go down slowly. And obviously the defender's goal is similar to, you know, you recognize that from some other games. If they step into this area, they slow down or stop the ticking down. Yeah, ignore this. This is a placeholder just to, you know, go through the mechanics and rules. Yeah, so a little bit like Battlefield, King of the Hill, you know, capture the flag kind of thing. But yeah, depending on the defenders going in here, they may stop it or fight off the other players. And we try to capture a lot of interesting fighting elements in 3 dimensions, you know. We have multiple stairs here where you can fight on the sides. You can have jump down here. You can jump up, you know, run up another lever up the roof here. So different types of dimensions to fight on and spread around and even hide. So if you are smacking the owners and they all have to regroup in their base, they obviously have their own doors and the owners can use it. That means you have access to a specific type of bank in here as the owner. And if you enter here, you will have your own priest that you can teleport to and resurrect. So you can try to re-gear here before you jump out. Obviously, if you just jump straight out here, you're not you know, claiming the flag on this line in your base. So you have to commit, because then obviously you would just try to camp in here, right? So you have a few options to get out and try to capture the flag as a group. You can obviously jump on the back here, right, and try to sneak around here. You're not gaining flag in here either. But if you run, try to hide from line of sights and takes a little path here, for instance. As soon as you're over here, this line, kind of like this line here, that's when you start stopping the flag from being taken. So you can try to reclaim it and fight back. And that line goes from just outside of the stronghold type of building here, and it goes all the way over here. So you have this whole place to fight on, even over here, I think. Yeah, so this whole area, you know, you have to wipe out the enemies. And obviously we are happy to hear feedback on design suggestions, or if there's anything that seems off with our current placement. We try to play around and see, you know, what can give interesting tactics, choke points, but still give several options. You know, obviously if this were your own way out, you may be bombarded by spells, right? So you have several ways of getting out and trying to get into the fight again. L-shaped to take cover from. You have the back way here, above or under. And again, these here are not final in the design. We're refining them to look a little bit interesting and cooler, but you get the general idea what we're going for here. Then obviously who will take down the flag, and then the attackers will put their flag on and put it up if they manage to be here. And we're not talking about several hours of here. We're trying to find a sweet spot. So just to give an idea, if there's no resistance at all when this is declared on, we're talking about an hour currently that we have on our draft. you know, 10 minutes to do that, 10 minutes to take down the flag, and 10 minutes to put it up, you know, around those numbers currently. But obviously if there's any defense, then that slows down or stops. So the goal is to promote interesting, fun fighting in these two different stages. And you know, the defenders have one edge, which means they can regear in here and resurrect with the priest, right? Before they jump out again to try to, yeah. I don't have a better overview right now, but you know, you get the idea by running around. 3 stages, like I said. First, blow up the main gates, and then you know, open a second gate. That takes 10 minutes or so, depending on if the enemy stops that gate going up. They can also take it down again. So obviously if you fail within an hour, we currently have an hour, that is your siege window. If you fail during that, the defenders have secured a place. And then obviously there's a little grace period. Currently that grace period is around 2 hours, I think. After that you can declare siege again. And you can only declare 1 region siege at a time as a guild. So obviously I've been a little bit worried about some of the spells, ice barrier, pushing and so on, right? Because obviously you're good at finding all of that. So that is obviously something we need to take a look on. There's a few options we have. One way is obviously here in the second stage. If you're waiting for this gate to open, and if you can place a barrier here and enter that way, then obviously you're bypassing the gate. We're also possibly looking at, you can't start the next phase if you haven't, you know, unlocked the stage before it. But we also have a few options to add specific collision in these areas here, so you can't enter that way. Same here, obviously, if you can jump down, which we want the defenders to be able to do. If they want to commit and fight the people, they should be able to do so. They can also obviously open the doors. But getting up here with an ice barrier, we're looking to possibly add a collision that you can't get through this way over there, but the other way is possible, if that makes any sense. But those are obviously some of the things we want to test and play around with to see what's fair and what's balanced. I think collision barriers is a good idea. Yeah, possibly. We can get inside T3. Yeah. So those are the things we need to look at, right? Possibly adding collision, so you can't jump over from this side over there, but you can jump from that side over here. You know, so, but again, we every time we play around and think about this, you know, we come up with different ideas and some solutions sometimes to some issues. That this is also why we want you guys in on this, because obviously a lot of you guys play more regularly than we do. You're better at the game in terms of, you know, what you can reach and what you can't reach. So it's very valuable for us to get your feedback on this. And obviously also throughout the PTR, we want you to really kill it, right? So we can get those points as good as possible. So there's a few things we really want to input in. Obviously, if there's something that are, you know, very, you know, the amount of regions, we found this to be a sweet spot, looking at small, medium groups of players to obviously we have the large groups and alliances, right? I think this would give plenty of options for all groups. I'm not showing you what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about the I am showing it. Let's see. So there's no cap currently on what one single guild can own. There are 31 regions, and anyone can try to siege and control any of these regions. Obviously, the more you hold, the more difficult it will be to keep them, because obviously a small group of 5 can obviously start a siege here, and if there's no defending, It takes approximately 1 hour currently for the 5-man group to claim it. So it's quite easily accessible for anyone. And the thing is, like we said, you don't need deeds or money investments in terms of sieging, because you're not really destroying something. You're just taking control of this base, right? You have control of this base. That is what you're fighting for. So you just simply go here with your gear and your team, and you start with the sieging tents. You use those. You can work with those without having to add resources. And then you work your way trying to blow up the first gate, and then obviously fight for the second access using 1, 2, or 2, or both, either of the gates to enter the next phase. So you don't need to, no, you don't need manganons. You don't need to destroy anything. You have explosive out there from those 3 buildings. Blow up the gate, running with those. And then the final stage is in this region, this zone, I mean, to try to capture the flag. And yes, we are debating specific different rules on actually capturing the flag. If you are 10 people here attacking, and there's one guy resurrecting and hiding somewhere here, then obviously you 10 guys, shouldn't be too hard for 10 people to find that one guy, right? But if you're a smaller group or such, or, you know, there are 2 guys running around and just hiding, there are different types of rules that we're looking at here, right? Should you know, like in Battlefield, should one player that enters it on the other side completely stop the tick rate, or just slow it down depending on numbers? So it's a number game, you know, if you have more numbers, your tick is more powerful. Should we have sudden death rules? You know, there's quite a few question marks here. What fits best our game? And obviously, again, we can never count for being perfect balance in terms of player numbers, right? So we want to try to find a sweet spot here that fits. So these regions gives many different bonuses to the owners. As I mentioned earlier in the stream, there's everything from manufacturers, mining facilities, lumberjack mills that produces materials. And you can go here as the owner, retrieve those resources and use them, and, you know, go with them wherever you want, obviously. There's also different types of buffs if you control the different regions. Anything from pet bonuses, different types of bonus and abilities that can be interesting for different types. Extraction, butchering, fishing bonuses, all kind of different things. And we're also looking at the more you have connected, there may be an additional effect and bonuses tied to those regions. So there's always an incentive to try to grab more and grow your lands. So there are various types of them, and you will see them, what those bonuses are on the map. So, you know. And like I said, we're also open to hear suggestions on these types of bonuses. What should the different regions be able to add? You know, if you have some cool ideas that fits, you know, now is the time to get suggestions. We are happy to hear them. We have fishing bonuses. I don't remember exactly where we have them, but there's absolutely fishing bonuses. A lot of different topics right now being written in the chat. But if we just take a look on a few of them at a time, what do you think overall of the design of this camp? Does it look interesting, engaging in this current draft? We're trying to have, you know, a little field here, right? Open field, but also a lot of interesting parkour environments in different dimensions. You can go under or over. You know, again, we try to spy on you guys when you fight, and when you say that was awesome to fight over there in that dungeon and so on, because, you know, it's fun to fight there. We try to incorporate some of those elements in this base, obviously, to offer some interesting opportunities when fighting. But yeah, obviously we will run PTR on this, and I guess that's when we get down to business in terms of if there's something critical in the design or such. And yes, there will be no build zones around these bases. Quite large, so you can't, you know, do shady things from a roof just next to the base here. So when we add these, we sculpt the areas, we make sure that they are quite isolated, there's nothing there, but we clean up the area a little bit. We place the no build zones, so when we patch, you know, they're secure for this. It could be that we need to increase the height on all walls, yes, but like what I said, we can potentially add specific collision that allows you one way to enter. So you can always jump down like this, but you can't jump up back there, even though you're on a shield barrier or pushing and stuff like that, you know. That way we have secured it, so you have to enter here in one of the gates. Or, you know, if everyone agrees, well, if you fill a run enough, you should be rewarded and be able to jump over. But, you know, we're not sure if we want to still allow bypassing one phase. There's a trigger phase, right? But when that's done, you know, defenders could lower it. Maybe you want to be able to jump over that, or you simply have to, again, go through the gates. There's a few question marks, but we have a few different options to deal with it. Obviously, a little bit higher walls, quite doable and easy to do. But do we want to secure them with the collision as well, or do we would we allow anyone to, you know, still be able to maybe get over if they do crazy jump, push stuff? One-way collision 100%, so small guilds won't get insta-surged. That is maybe a safer approach, yes. That is one of our thoughts as well. 31 regions, no people in those regions. So each region also tells housing currently what you profit from owning this region. So there are different profits from holding a region as well. And yeah, you know, invisible collision is terrible. Let people play the game, design, you know, again, like I said, we are open to hear what may be best for the game here. Like I said, we can obviously increase the height to make it very difficult to jump over with magic, right? You know, if that's the general approach that most agree with, you know, that's quite easily. Then we just increase the height on all the walls. More content for Zergs, no content for small guilds. No, Bazwak, as I said initially, this is designed heavily in mind from small groups to large groups. You know, the large groups won't be able to just simply control everything and defend everything. Like I said, you can siege and claim one of these with 3 people. 3 people is enough, and it takes you 1 hour. It also takes 100 people 1 hour, at least. That's the fastest rate you can do it. You can do it with 3 people, or 100 people, or 200 people. So, like I said, the numbers is obviously something that probably will heavily change during PTR. So it's very cool, 3 very cool phases. More concentrated, you don't have to invest, like we said, invest insane amount of time planning resources and build and shoot for hours and hours and be exhausting eventually. This is you go with your friends, you have a fun siege event depending on defenses, then obviously it would be walk in the park or resistance, right? Yeah, we'll have a cool explosion here when the gates blows up, enter the second phase, and then you try to secure the flag. There are many different rewards, as I mentioned initially in the stream. Everything from manufactories, mining camps, facilities, lumber mills that are producing different types of resources that you can come and collect from these camps, or different types of bonuses, extracting, refining, crafting, fishing, gear capacity from pets, you know, all kind of different bonuses. And like I said, if you have some cool ideas here as well that fits, we're happy to hear them now during this phase. Obviously, if someone isn't interested about participating in land control, which a lot of veterans are, then obviously the Reckoning expansion have a lot of other things, as you may know. This is one topic of a few, right? And like in last stream, some people weren't interested in innovation. They were looking forward to the TC content. And here we are. And then, you know, vice versa. So, like I mentioned, we have analyzed a lot when it comes to sieging a house, keep, and those kind of things. And that is a pure nightmare when it comes to having a perfect solution that does make the majority happy. There's a few suggestions and things we have identified that could probably improve things that the majority agrees with. But there is no magical fix to make wiping a player base and their assets from the game easy and fast, because that means we also often lose players or force a lot of players to take a break from the game, like we saw in the first game. And like we also see a little bit here, right? If you have had a exhausting siege and you lose all your stuff, it's quite natural to take a break or leave, you know. And a lot of the vets have also said and agree with that, you know, that's not very healthy for the game. We want to play more, but some of my friends are exhausted by that long siege and that huge loss. So we try to steer those kind of gameplay into these fields instead. You know, interesting, fun, engaging, instant reward, to have these types of siege battles that are refined, concentrated. You can do them pretty much almost whenever you want. You don't have to plan and research and gather resources for days and hours. You can just go here with your friend, pretty much. Obviously, depending on how many players there are, then you may need more than your friend, right? But there are many regions to pick from, so there's plenty of options for small groups as well to participate. We are looking at the cost to obviously declare the war, the siege, but you don't have to build manganons and shoot 1,000 boulders on the gate or the buildings to claim it. This is like base that control, an outpost that control this region. So you fight for control rather than destruction. There's a lot of different questions here now that I'm missing quite a lot of here. Meteor strikes in the middle fight could happen, but chances are very small. How you capture it. So we will make a recap of this stream, because obviously people coming in late have missed everything that I said initially. How you capture it, the rules, the phases. So, you know, instead of repeating that for everyone, you know, every 20 minutes, We will post a recap and the rules just like we done on our other streams, so you can read up on the details. We will add some suggestions on the bonuses. We won't list all of them. Like I said, we also want to open up for this now because sometimes you guys also have some awesome ideas, suggestions on what kind of bonuses we could add on some of the outposts, stuff like that. All height weight won't make a difference since you can leap into a keep with one spell. Why not a structure inside that can be destroyed and disable element? So again, obviously, like I said, we need a lot of your expertise input when it comes to, is it enough just to increase the walls by quite a lot, so it's very difficult to trickle your way in with magic? Or do we need to go to brute force, adding a specific collision volume that allows you to only jump out from it but not in? You know, those are some of the balance questions we obviously want to feedback on. And I'm sure everyone won't agree with them, but you know, if we see a majority leaning towards one of them, that may be helpful. I think doing both is future-proof, maybe. Don't let the flag drop until gates are open. Yeah, that is a requirement. Like I said, I think we want the phases to be finished before the next one can start, right? So if you just simply find a new way to bypass the gates entirely and you haven't even touched them, then yes, you most likely won't be able to start capturing the flag, because you need to have a flag set that, okay, bam, one set on one of the gates, which means you have beaten that phase, which means now this one is ready to be fought for. But yeah, obviously we appreciate a lot of heavy PTR testing on all of these different stages, the balance, the numbers, because obviously this is our current starting draft and we may be far off on some of the numbers, we may be spot on some of them, but that's what we want to obviously get your help on with as well. You know, we can always do some of those polls as well if there are specific things we want quick, big feedback on as well, because everyone isn't able to participate in the streams and, you know, give their opinion on things. So the circles doesn't work on live. You know, people agree that the circles colliding and you're forced to wipe the other ones to grow over. We're not getting further there, right? So that is why we went back to one of the old, more secure system where we have regions, kind of like countries, natural borderlines, where you fight for control. And it's very clear what they include. And obviously there's nothing forcing you to, you know, try to claim many in one region, connect them to one kind of big country that is your guild. So yeah, the bubbles are removed, the circles are removed. There will be a distinct region based instead, as you can see here, natural borders, and you can try to claim any whenever. There will be a grace period if you manage to claim one or defend one. There's a grace period, so you can take a little break. There's a little prep window when you engage a siege on declare a siege on a region. There will be a little siege window before it starts, but we're not talking about days or 24 hours. I think we're looking at 1 hour. Yes, we will have this toggle on the map. It's always ironic. Someone jumps in here. Game dead, lol. Why are you here then? Just leave, for God's sake. We don't care about your insane comments. We're here because we're interested in Reckoning, and that's what we're gonna hit on PTR next. You know, there's a lot of other cool games to doom and gloom on. It's a little bit tiring after 20 years hearing the same thing from 4, 5, 6 people. They're so cool. Just get out. Who the hell cares, right? You're not cool. 20 years in the making. We are here to stay for many more years. This is the beginning of some really grand content. And then we have the North American server that taps into many new American players, Asian, Australia. So we have a very packed, exciting year. Either you want to play the game or you don't. That's how simple it is. No. We have more games in game, obviously, than on my streams. If we had 800, 900 players in Mortal, then we don't have support, which means we can't continue doing this. So obviously we are very happy that we do have support to be able to continue. We have done some impressive numbers, slowly, steady, going up. We're happy with the pace we're moving. We know obviously that some of the downtime, delivering engine updates, improvements haven't been as satisfying and fast as many of all of us have wished. But we have finally passed the main struggle when it comes to Unreal Engine 5 and performance hurdles. And now we're finally going back more to great and fun gameplay and content. But you know, you can always speculate and think whatever you want, obviously. But as long as we have proper support to be able to continue to do what we do, we will do so, because this is our passionate project and completely unique game. If you live in North America, you don't have to worry, because you're going to have excellent ping no matter where you live to that server. Again, it's not fully comparable with a C server. Also endless discussion to explain how the ping works, but there's a very specific rate where pairing is affected and not affected. And within America, the American server will be perfect within that window for you. So you don't have to worry at all where you live in America when it comes to the North American server. It's when it comes to other greater distances over Atlantic or, you know, to other continents. Real facilitator, no, you know, your numbers are completely skewed and wrong. That's what I'm saying. So if you just jump in here every stream and you want to say cool things about, oh, that game, no one plays, they don't want to play. We don't give a F. Go, leave, play something else, because here's enough to support us and we're happy developing this game. And, you know, our numbers that keeps us running speaks for itself. We don't need your doomer, crazy, you know, opinions. I mean, you're free to have them, but we don't care. But yeah, I shouldn't even spend time responding to such troll posts. There are many cool games, you can try those, and whenever you can come back and try this. If you like it, you like it, or not, you don't like it. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say once, you know. The numbers you're talking about is just false. We wouldn't be able to survive or run anything if those were our numbers. We have slow times in a game in periods, absolutely. We had that over the 20 years. That's nothing unusual, especially if we have been working hard on expansion, because obviously working a few months on a hard expansion and new content, that will be a downtime in terms of exciting game content. The veterans get bored. Everyone that's playing a game that have done everything is waiting for the next thing, right? A natural cycle. And then we patch, then obviously that brings up player population interest. And as long as we hit solid features and content moving forward, that will obviously have a happy player base supporting and playing and hopefully growing steadily over the years. Just like any other online game. Look at Path of Exile. They go from 5,000 active to 70,000 active, and then they go down again very quickly in cycles. All right. No, there's not 200, 400 people online at any given time. Again, and that's going to be the last time I say it, because clearly people don't care about facts or truth. They live in their own, I don't know, bubble. And that's the modern day today. People don't give a F about facts. They live in their own environment. And that's just how it is. We have to accept that. We're here to deliver Mortal Online. Either you want to play it or not, you know, can come back at any time. There's no point in arguing numbers when they're completely out the window. When we are trying to go through a TC stream to talk about TC. All right. I mean, one of the main numbers is obviously in the company, right? The revenues. If we don't have revenues to continue playing, and those revenues doesn't come from 500 players, because that would only support one developer, right? It's just extremely simple math, but I won't obviously be telling our players to go read company papers. There's no point in doing that. We're absolutely going to do marketing and push harder along with Reckoning, and obviously another step with the North American server. No, Epic Games doesn't pay us. Again, another extremely odd statement. Why would Epic pay us? For what? These phrases just blows my mind sometimes. But no, that's not it. All right, anyway. Doesn't matter what I say. People have their opinions set, and that's facts for them, and I will never be able to convince them otherwise. So that's it. All right. Next sale on Epic Games. I don't have the dates here, but there are regular sales similar to Steam. They are running regular. We also have Steam sales running on our website. Constantly, almost rotating on all of them. Young Pizza TV, that is true, that is true. I just have a tendency to respond to everyone at least once. Sometimes maybe I shouldn't, but that's just my nature of things. South Africa server. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure how many potential players we have there. We're tapping into another region next, obviously. Girlfriend, appreciate it. What I'm drinking some lemonade. Some lemonade. Home pressed with, what's it called? I don't remember what it's called. Let me catch up here. I'm quite behind, I see. the hell? I'm not... Okay, no. Fist weapons when... Yeah, the keep stays. As you can see, there are small bubbles around the keeps. That is your influence for around the keep. We don't have an official or public, I would say, a public date for when we aim to release Reckoning. Obviously, when we are in PTR, we will probably have a decent estimate depending on how everything goes in the PTR. Do you have any ideas to bring in new players? Yeah, we always examine the player base feedback, new and old, and why some people take breaks or leave the game. Sometimes there are things we can do, sometimes there's nothing we can do because it's simply not the game that they thought it would be. We try to be as clear as possible on our website and on Steam what the game is, what to expect, that it isn't a classic WoW game, clone type of game. It's very specific, and we try to be very clear on that. And also since day one we have expressed this will be a subscription-based game model until we say it's not, if that is the case. Even though we have expressed that since day one on our webpage, some people come back and are upset. They say, oh my god, now we changed it to be a subscription-based game, which was always expressed on day one since the birth of the game. But it is what it is. We know that the majority of players and people don't want to read things, so they just jump into something and need to get the game delivered in a good way. So obviously we always try to look on how can we make the game easy, accessible to jump into quickly and easy. Read a lot on obviously how players experience from Nave and entering the game. You know, we can see this very clear line where if you manage to go above this little bump, you know, getting deeper in the game, they many times feel that this is an awesome game with great depth and they're loving it. Or they simply bounce, you know, on one of those struggles to get into the game or understand the game, or simply didn't even know that it was a full loot PvP game, and they get very shocked when they get looted. Obviously that's also something that is expressed in the game description. Obviously a huge factor for all these online games, you don't exist if the players don't know about the game, right? And we have done experimenting in terms of marketing the game to see what works better, what works worse. Because again, this is not a classic game where you can just put it on television and expect, you know, millions of players to join in. It's not that type of game. We know it's specific, so we need to do specific targeting of new players. But again, we're improving the experiencing to enter the game. Extremely huge difference from the first game. We also know that a lot of the players, many players, the first experience they have is the combat, and almost the majority, over 50%, think that this feels slow and clunky. And then the veteran says, if it's a friend, you know, trust me, stay with it, learn it, and you will start enjoying it. And that is true. When you start mastering the combat, you actually enjoy it much more. But if you don't have that friend that pushes you over that little hill, then we may lose unnecessarily many players. So that's a struggle, right? And that is also why we're looking at the combat focus in Reckoning. How can we make the combat feel even more engaging, exciting, and fun to get into, so they instantly understand there's more depth to it than just spamming a mouse button. So that also helps, hopefully, to get them more that, okay, this is an interesting combat system. I just have to practice a little bit on it and learn it, obviously. You know, compared to a WoW type of MMO, you just click an icon and you do 500 damage, and then you level up to get 600 damage in the next button. Very huge difference, right? So it's a little bit more demanding from the players to learn how to operate, but that's also the great reward, right? When you do manage to get good at it and to be successful, it gives much more reward than most of the MMOs out there. That's my personal experience and what I hear from the majority of players. And yeah, it is true. There are many casual players that are coming for those free-to-play games that think, "Oh my God, it's a subscription-based game. Then I'm not sure anymore." That is a true factor, but it's also one of those. Again, mouth to mouth, spreading the knowledge of the game. Like F that. You don't want a pay-to-win game. Now you can find rare things, and you decide outcome of it. Do you want to share it or not? Do you want to sell it or not? Rather than buying it or getting the exact same easy as everyone else. So we hope that we can make that push along with those big expansions, more proper pinpointed marketing. We are talking to many influencers, many of them which is very excited for MortalOnline. Some of them play it on and off, still following it. Some of them are waiting on the North American server because they want to be on a high competitive level. They don't want any issues with pairing because that's what their main interest of the game. So obviously there are many factors that we plan to hit this year to make sure that more new players can join in, American players can join in on equal terms. And of course we hope that we can bring back a lot of old players that are either tired of it or missing or waiting on different things. So that's what we are focusing on this year. There are absolutely room for, we have a few professional skills coming also over time when it comes to jewelry crafting and such, where you could re-roll specific things on trinkets, how you can modify them and build them. There's absolutely room for that. But again, one of the biggest challenges is, when we talk about these streams, I always have to be careful and remind everyone, when we talk about suggestions, future features, that is, our goal to be able to deliver that, but we don't have a date on it. So if we're talking about the cool feature and we're not delivering that this year, then people call me a liar because I say we're going to have that feature, but we are not, we haven't added it to the game. That doesn't mean I'm lying. I'm saying that it may come the next year or year 2. We're here to run this game multiple years. We have been working on this for 20 years. Obviously, we can't have everything this year, as most people can understand. That's also always a challenge. I always have to be extremely careful and pointing out a triple time that we're trying to get this, but we don't have a date on it. And this is our goal and visions, and this is how we have designed it. And then the next question is, what do we prioritize and when do we put it into the game? Yes, some of them I'm referring to are boats, wagons, and dragons, absolutely. And Hellgates. Hellgates have been closer on the roadmap. There's been a growing interest in that because this is an open sandbox. You can't just bring 5 people and siege or fight 5 people if you don't make the terms with those 5 people, right? But that's not a very common case. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about when you have your fights. Sometimes it's quite even numbers and it brings awesome one-of-a-kind PvP battles. It's really cool to watch and participate in. But in many cases you're outnumbered and not very fair. So there's only a few things that could make this fair within the game that kind of fits and is put into the lore to fit that way as well, and that is what we call the dimension runs that we have had on the votable roadmaps. But it didn't make the top ones, obviously that's why it's not the main focus, but it's quite high there. So it could be that is one of the features that are coming closer in the next batch of work. And that is where you can, there's a specific amount of energy, how many players you can enter a gate, which pretty much translate to even teams, right? Let's release writable farm picks. Yeah, exactly, because Sebastian is doing everything, right? We only have one coder that have to do everything. He also builds the codes, the animates, and I do some things. That's not the truth, right? If we just think for a little moment, if we are around 30 developers, do you think everyone needs to put their schedule and put everything on side to give us rideable new mounts? The answer is no. But yeah, that's also a silly comment that we have talked about many times over the year. You know, I thought people will learn by now. But I also can't blame, you know, we're working with this on a daily basis. We can't forget that people are not working on making games, so therefore they may be more clueless, obviously, also. But yeah, we are completely transparent, and we are here to explain everything at least once. That's what we try to do. And then we try to not repeat ourselves to bore people in here. So yeah, sometimes we get things for free if we have one feature finished, and the developers are working on very different things. That is why you get what you get in the game, in the patches. Sometimes it may not make sense because you may think, well, most people want this first, so why did you add that? Because the developers won't affect what you want now. It's a bit tricky to explain the entire process, but obviously we tap into the community and look into what do the people want most, and then we try to focus on that, and we try to make it not just, you know, one player type oriented. We try to pick anything from RP, PvP, combat to socializing, RP, sandbox elements. Sometimes there's something exciting for your type of player interest, and sometimes it is a little bit less interesting. Just the nature of a sandbox, true sandbox MMO. But yeah, any specific, I think we covered the general rules, how to claim one of the claim a region. We went through the phases, and we are happy to hear feedback on if there's specific design modifications we may want to look at, and obviously the numbers and balance, and specific bonuses to own regions if people have some cool ideas that fits. We are happy to hear them. And then obviously we're going to hit this hard on our PTR session to fine-tune the numbers. We have stealth combat features. We have assassin professions, thievery, that is tapping into that, which we will talk about more when it's time to deliver that. Yeah, this is a specific build, so ignore my UI on the crosshair. That is a draft test, but yes, that is the combat ability adrenaline system that will be next stream's topic. So if you're interested in know more of that and see what that is all about, then it's the next stream. So that will change and update how it looks, so you can ignore the looks of it. I doubt it's Mongo TV. I doubt it. Wasn't GTA 6 delayed again? XCV Storm, yeah, that is the adrenaline UI, rough draft, so you can ignore how that looks. We're gonna cover that in the next stream. But the gaming, thank you for the 25 month. Looks like a fun update. Will there be no build zones around these? Around this and existing building. Yeah, there will absolutely be no build zones. Quite a big area around them, so you can't build next to this and harass in different ways. So yes, we're deploying these. We are sculpting the land and clearing them so they fit this base. And along with that, we also add no build zones around them. I don't have the exact date when PTR opens, but obviously we're going to make it public when we have the dates. There will be several sessions of PTR because there are I would say three extremely large, balanced, focused features. Obviously we have tagging functions, invasions that we want to have some test on. This TC system, obviously a lot of test on this and balancing. And of course the combat. A lot of balance going on there, a lot of new moves and abilities that are very exciting and fun, but balance is obviously a little bit of a nightmare. But the goal is to have them not have a few of them overpowered, standing out and dominating everything, but more interesting, cool things for every single weapon group, so we can get exciting use for all weapon groups on Battlefield, because they will all have their unique strength that will be exciting to play around with. Obviously, that's more about that the next stream. As said many times before, we do plan to make the tutorial island free to play eventually, but not right now. We don't have the time to do that at the same time as releasing this. But that is the plan eventually. Yes, bows get an ability as well. And we're looking to add also unarmed abilities, which mages can tap into. Yeah, any suggestions, feedback when it comes to cost, rules, timers, bonuses, we are very happy to hear them. Now is the time to, because we're implementing different types of bonus and stuff like that, and we sometimes you guys have some awesome, excellent ideas that simply fits, so we're happy to hear that. So feel free to reach out, write on the forums, discords. Nebulas is also here to hear the feedback. We're happy to hear it. Take Regent out of the game, so mages don't have to have anything. I think that would be a terrible balance decision to do. That is like taking out all the weapons and armors for warriors and just have you magical weapons to fight with, right? Construction feedback is met with anger. No, never. Proper feedback, we appreciate it, and we're really happy to hear proper feedback. The only time that we get a little bit tired is when we get feedback that is absolutely not anything constructive or anything we can use. It's just a big FU. Nothing we can do work with, right? We have absolutely no problem getting feedback, suggestions. Quite the opposite. We are happy to get that. Sometimes it's awesome stuff. Rondark, I'm not sure why actually. I think we have a common database for censorship words that doesn't fit the game, but it could be that that is overly sensitive or something. I can't really answer, but that is my guess. So yeah, we will post everything regarding what we have gone through today when it comes to terms and rules on the website as well. If you tune in late, you can read through that, check that recap, so you're up to date and can give also feedback on that we are looking for. I'm the best player to ever walk Nave, pure. Tell them, Henrik. Are you the best player currently, Dreadlord Killox? No, it's not related to the current topic. Would be love to see easier XP gains for us new players. So since we actually added a lot of the task feature to the game that is very much more powerful when it comes to both making money, but also especially making Clade XP. And there's also a daily, weekly boost on this. And that is exact purpose, you know, to let new players and those that may not have, you know, that many hours to commit every day, they can still optimize their Clade gains effectively. And, you know, still progress effectively in the game. So, you know, we always consider small group and also solo content to be effective in the game. And I think the task system is a big key when it comes to Clade progress, which we didn't have before. We do plan to add more lore related content in the game. There will be some with Reckoning. We have a whole invasion going on, and there will be things tied to that, obviously. We have not decided an exact location yet for the North American server. But as I said before, if you are an American player, you don't have to worry about the ping, because you will be 100% within the threshold of the ping prediction, ping normalization system. You have to be further away to not be within that parry range. So you don't have to worry if you are in North America already. As I said, we're happy to hear any suggestion on top of what we have gathered last month when it comes to CG mechanics and such. I comment on this earlier in the stream as well. Again, I don't want to repeat myself too much for everyone. But there are many sensitive things that simply players don't accept or agree with. The main thing we all can agree on is that we don't want negative gameplay in terms of extremely easy way to wipe someone's base and assets from the game, force them out, push them away, because that happened in the first game. You know, it may feel exhausting and painful to wipe someone, and therefore naturally want us to change it to be easier, but that is very dangerous. If we make it very quick and easy to wipe someone from the game, we won't be seeing houses anymore. We won't be seeing players eventually, because it's too exhausting. It's not a Rust gameplay server, right, where you can just jump in, have fun, build something up in 10 seconds and then blow everything up. This is a persistent game world that takes, you know, we plan to run this for many years. There needs to be some kind of investment to wipe someone from the game, and obviously that needs to cost, so it doesn't happen every day while you're asleep, which it did in the first game and pushed out a lot of players. We want to convert those players that are interested in sieging, fun rewards, instant rewards into this system. This is the solution for the main gameplay content there. Then obviously there will always be main sieges and wiping bases depending on enemies and player conflict, but it shouldn't be the easy path, because we will lose players, and you as a player will, you know, take the cut from it as well, because you will have less players to fight, and you will either feel the pain or deliver that pain and not have any enemies left to fight. In this system you can have exciting, more fair commitment, pick it up easy with a small group of friends, and enjoy awesome combat and PvP without that insane commitment or insane loss. So we are widening in that area that many of you guys have also suggested and also knows from the first game. I'm sure Fat Dog Gaming can comment on that, since Mortal 1, when we all noticed that it hurt the game when a lot of groups quit the game because they lost their base or taking long breaks, pause from the game, because it just, you know, it sucks to lose everything, right? If you committed so much. And we want the players to be able to enjoy and participate rather than take breaks from exhausting losses. But there's a few things that we think can improve it, that majority agree on, that this will be better, it will improve some things. But we don't want it to be easy mode. That's something that is very devastating if we make it easy mode to wipe someone from the game. You know, again, now is the time we want feedback on height, sizes, room. We have made multiple options to be able to spread, take cover, because obviously we knows how elementalism have power in AoE. So obviously that's why we have multiple ways of obtaining and different dimensions, and to take cover and to counter the mages building this. But you know, if there's specific areas we need to widen or higher walls in general, you know, that is the feedback that we obviously want to get. This is what we play around on right now, but obviously we are not the pro elite PvPers that you are as players. High walls but allow archer slits. Yeah. I mean, obviously that goes both ways, right? For elementalists as well in many cases. So, but yeah. Make archers viable. There will be abilities for the archers as well in this Reckoning patch, obviously with the combat abilities. He refuses to answer real questions. I answer all the questions once, as I said to you now 2 times. Real facilitator. You're a living proof of I'm answering as much as I can, but obviously I will not be able to catch all of them. What's supposed to do that? Do what? Crackle. The abilities, the combat abilities is next stream. So then we're gonna deep dive into that. That is not this one. The continent is planned for after Reckoning. So we can probably share some of the TC plans and proposed updates also in this post that we're gonna summarize this stream on, because many of you guys are joining in now and asking, you know, how this works. So we're gonna try to summarize all that and put it on the website as well. And there may be some questions that I'm missing that Nebula is also catching, and we can address on the page. We're actually testing to see if we can add some persistent ballistas on the wall sections as well in some of the towers that you can load up with siege ammo next to it. You can destroy it, but you can also repair it without having to fully build it, if that makes sense. So they can be also effectively used in this place. Advertising will start along with the expansion and North American server. We will do additional push and then pinpointed ones. We don't have the date for PTR. We will announce it obviously in the community when it's time to start that. There will probably be several PTR phases for this huge expansion. We have discussed the siege pillar system similar to Darkfall when it comes to where you declare. And those are some of the things that kind of aligns with what may work for us. But again, we want to do a controlled patch now, not just throw everything in and have it half working. But obviously, we plan to follow up on some of those things as well. And again, people don't agree when it comes to what timer should be the siege windows. So there is no magical solution that, okay, now everyone is happy. I'm sure you can debate each other's already here and you will see that many doesn't agree on specific huge changes. And that have been one of our biggest challenges. We have analyzed, gone through all of the feedback the past months or even more since the siege system was implemented. And over time, we slowly seen a picture of what people are not fully happy with, but also we don't have a perfect solution and no solution from the community. The only thing we know is that we can't make sieging easy mode. If you can wipe someone from the game, we lose players more than gain. And that's something we can't do. So it will always be a huge commitment to wipe someone from the game. It will always be doable because it's part of the game. But that kind of commitment and fight should be more around these type of TC elements where you can fight and have fun. Because many people, you know, after being part of several sieges, it's not very fun to do something repetitive and spend hours wiping someone from the game. But if we do that super fast and easy and cheap, then there will be no bases left and eventually very few players to fight because there will most likely only be one side left. And no one wants that either. So there's no magic fix for entire TC. There are good ways to expand it to make it fun, rewarding, engaging, because most of the guys that are talking about this want great PvP, right? If you are in a great battle with a nice group, even numbers, you can get some of the best PvP experience on the internet in this game. I think many of you guys agree with that. But obviously, if there's unfair numbers, you know, incident bases that are tricky to wipe, being repetitive or not fun, then yeah, that's one of the downside, right? But as many of you guys understand, just switching that to make it easy to wipe, like in Rust, with a few bumps, a few seconds, then we're also removing players to fight and have fun with. So we can have fun, rewarding elements with smaller commitment that they can do more on a daily basis. Then we can enjoy great PvP without having the risk of losing players when losing bases easily. If that makes any sense what I'm trying to explain. How can we get even numbers? So exactly, this is a sandbox game, so that is in the player's hand. There's a few that says, let's war each other like we did in good old Euro days, high moral. You know, let's war each other, we have even numbers, let's have fun, practice, but we still take from each other, so it's like a real war. Obviously, everyone is not on that line, right? Naturally, that's just not how it plays out. In that case, dimension runs is one option to it, where you can only bring 5 to 10 to 30 people into a specific dimension, and there's only one winner on the outside. Obviously, that forces you to have same numbers if you fulfill those slots. That's one way to have even numbers if you want to combat in that way, that is. But obviously, it's a true open sandbox, so if you just go out in the world, it's up to the players who decides even numbers, right? And many people enjoy being on the winner side, so you usually bring a few more players if you can, right? But that's just how it is. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few that wanted Dimension 1. It didn't make the top list when you voted, but now when we're slowly approaching to the next phase, then obviously that may be an option. True open sandbox, can I stab someone in town and kill him, or will God see me through walls? Obviously this is a magical world, right? There are security measurements that in magical ways that obviously can be explained in any way. That doesn't mean it's not a true open sandbox. You know, we have consequences and try to mimic believable scenarios. That doesn't mean that we have to strip everything and do a real life simulation and not have magic or anything. I think you already know that deep inside. So I don't know what you want with that comment. It's probably the most true open sandbox game on the market, and I've tried them all. You know, I don't know if there's anyone else that have more open modern sandbox gameplay today that is a true sandbox. Maybe I missed it. But I'm a big fan of sandbox MMOs, and it would be crazy if I missed one that offer similar things. It's not dying because of subscription. Our subscription have not gone down. It's actually been increasing a lot over the latest month, and now during not the latest month, prior months, and now the later months, we have been quite standing still. You know, we're waiting for the expansion. People getting a little bit bored. We get new players to join in that have a great opportunity to actually learn a game and not be too much violated by old bored players. The subscription is holding very steadily, which obviously allows us to continue to work. As long as we have the support, we are extremely happy to be able to continue. So it's a natural cycle when people are bored waiting on new content. It's going to happen every time we have a cycle. This is not the first time, and it's not going to be the last one over the 20 years we've been doing this. Yeah, like I said many times, we do plan to do Haven free to play eventually. So yeah. Nobody believe this history if you remove it. So you're one of the ones that obviously don't want subscription-based model. You want pay to win, paywalls. Eventually you pay more than 14, 12, 11 US dollar a month to fully enjoy this type of game. And we understand where that comes from. Sadly, many other free-to-play games have made that as a standard, which means worse experience for the players, a lot of paywalls, a lot of crap, and it just cuts the fully gaming experience. And me personally, as a big hardcore MMO sandbox fan, I hate that. It's sad, but I'm also obviously doing what's necessary to be able to grow and proceed. There are several successful MMOs and companies and services in the world that runs on subscription level based. And if there's a support by it and the players want that type of game experience, we're happy, right? If the majority don't want to pay subs anymore, they want to pay to win, they want paywalls, skins, whatever, we have to evaluate that. But we're very happy that that is not the case. You can get quite low, you can get the cheapest subscription on the market if you commit. It's lower than Eve, WoW, Final Fantasy, all of those subscription-based MMOs. We also need to pay the servers, right? And salaries to continue deliver expansion for free. We don't charge for expansions. You can lock certain cosmetic behind paywalls. What paywalls are you referring to? We don't have any paywalls. So, Mr. Update, yeah, forums, Discord, you can reach out to enable us when it comes to feedback, suggestions, and we try to gather it and talk it through every now and then. Clear reset pill, not a paywall. No, you can you can access anything in the game with your characters, and you're not forced to do a clay reroll, obviously. So no, that's absolutely not a paywall. So paywall, I don't know if you played MMOs or online games at all. Actually, the majority today, that what I'm talking about, any single online game that are free to play, including all iPhone games or mobile games, or paywalls. Everything is super fast, engaging initially, and then slowly but steady, you should pay this to boost up that or get that item, become stronger, or access this new region to gain double XP. It just goes beyond. And that is the tricky psychological model for those games. Very efficient, quite successful. And if you look at what you spend over a month of period, eventually, if you like that game, it's way more than $11 that you spend on Mortal Online. You know, I personally wouldn't like to play that game because I played many of those games and I always hit the paywall. I even committed to some of them because I wanted to see what can I get. But after a while, I noticed that I sacrifice a lot of game experience to do that, and I would love to be able to deliver a game that doesn't sacrifice anything. But if everyone agrees, everyone stops subbing, the time era for subbing is over for games. Obviously we have to adapt, right? But that is not the time right now because we have enough support to continue with the sub model. We have delivered content extremely fast pace until we announced this expansion because we wanted to add more valuable, well thought out content, which means we obviously need to dedicate more time. But before that, I think the majority said that we are really whipping out content extremely fast, faster than the majority industry. But yeah, now latest expansion, since we announced that, we add a lot more content in this patch, which means more development time. You can see the history on our patch notes. It was once every month and once every 1.5 months. And I have not played MMO that releases new content in that size once every month, 1.5 month. Feel free to point out that MMO, but I haven't seen it. But yeah, we are a small company, small team, so obviously we can't expect us to deliver in all categories in that pace because we seem to have to pick a few areas at a time, right? But yeah, that's what people stated on their streams and videos, how their experience is. And then obviously, if that's fast or not, 1.5 months, that's debatable, right? So a lot of things ties together in this expansion, and it wouldn't make sense to release it split up. We already discussed this last stream, and it actually came from you, the players. One of the question was, why are we releasing the adrenaline system without the combat abilities? Doesn't make sense. And the more we thought about it, then yeah, okay, we wanted to deliver a few things with the adrenaline system, but yeah, the big punch comes with the abilities, right, to spend adrenaline. So those are some of the reasons that are quite logical, right, when we discussed them, and again pointed out from you. We thought that, well, you're happy to get the half system now, half system next few months and so on. But no, the majority said, no, take your time, do it good and release it fully instead. And that makes sense. And that's what we're doing. So yeah, instead of releasing systems that connect together, split up, so you can't fully enjoy them, we release it in one big bang. But yeah, it takes time to develop MMO functions, features. I mean, even though we throw in 100 developers from a major company, you still need to code and test and go through them. Sometimes you can't just throw more developers on one feature, Henrik, are you hiring devs? Currently we're quite still because it takes time to get in new developers and teach them and get them into the pipeline, and we are quite busy right now trying to, you know, finish and deliver Reckoning. Yeah, 2 devs. Yeah, and you have 5 kids, right? Exactly the same silly comment. If I had 2 devs, then yeah, we wouldn't be here today, obviously. It's impossible to make an MMO with two developers. Oh, Jesus. Time is flying as always. So let me start this little thing as well, so we don't forget about it. That is true. Sebastian is technically 2 devs in one because he's so talented and extremely good at building this. But obviously he have a coder team under him as well that he's running. And then we have animators, 3D artists, technical artists. A small team, but obviously needed. Let's see, we have... Let's do this one. Exclamation mark MO2. And we will roll a game copy. So now, if there were actually just 2 devs without a team, it would actually be very impressive that they managed to do. I think that just looking at the team we are today is extremely impressive. I don't think there's a smaller team doing this type of insanity projects. You know, and that's also one of the things. People expect grand levels on everything for, you know, compared to those major MMOs like Amazon, World of Warcraft, you know, huge MMOs that are awesome developers and they have a few billions of budgets, thousands of developers, and still takes many years to release and make it well, and still they all fail on the release days. You know, that shows obviously that it is a challenge, and maybe we are crazy trying to do that genre, and especially a true sandbox MMO that just makes things even more complicated because players can come up with a whole new type of thing they can do and how to play it. But that's also one of the cool, exciting thing about the game. We're probably the smallest game developer team in the world trying to do the most complex game in the world. And yeah, there will obviously be, it shows where we may lack that type of resources, you know, in some of the quality, some areas of the game. We have had our fair share of struggles, absolutely. But again, we're extremely passionate. This is what we do. We've been doing this for 20 years. We just want to deliver a unique sandbox game that we would like to play because there's nothing else that we are very excited about since the good old era of UO, pretty much. I've been waiting for and testing any single MMO pretty much since Ultima Online, and I've been very disappointed, more or less. There's been a few gems that I've enjoyed and played on and off, but very sad to not have more options than that. It's quite shocking, but I think it's, you know, based on how WoW shaped the industry and the new generation, what they expect and accept as a MMO. You know, but yeah, of course, this won't be for everyone, and there will be annoying things. You know, sometimes obviously we get nuts when things goes crazy. And obviously we are responsible for it, and it's a huge challenge. A lot of energy is devoted. You know, I work non-stop, and it's probably going to be my death. I know that stress is one of the biggest dangerous factor in life for health. So obviously that's something we need to be careful about as well. This is my baby, and I can't ever really, you know, say, okay, I stopped work for today, now I'm gonna go chill, like majority of people, I guess, on Earth. I always constantly have this in the back of my mind, constantly think about it and wake up in the middle of the night and come up with ideas and have to write it down, and both good things, bad things. So yeah. Darkfall was probably one of the more similar MMOs. Yes, I agree. I tried that as well, but they did make a few very specific important game design rules that they decided on that is very different from MortalOnline that I didn't at all agree with. You know, like one character is everything in the game. You don't feel that you are your specialized, you know, character in the group. You know, we need this and that build. You know, it was one fits it all kind of thing. And the style, I wasn't too happy about style, even though that may not be important for many. But obviously we wouldn't be here if it wasn't, you know, for you guys supporting us, enjoying the game. Obviously, so every now and then we can get upset and need a break. That includes all of us, right? But as long as we can offer something of value that is worth those $10-11 a month, we are grateful and will continue to be committed to offer you the best possible sandbox MMO. That's something I can guarantee. Join the game a lot as a noob. Definitely has its issues like any game, but it's extremely hooked as is. Appreciate to hear that, Messiah of Rodents. Awesome to hear. We are banning players pretty much every week for various game-breaking things. One of the struggle is to obviously go back to those players that have been reported or involved with reporting players. We don't have the best system to do that efficiently, and if you're not online, we can only go so far to give that information, right? And that is a problem because that gives the players a picture that we don't care, and that is very devastating for us because holy shit we care, and holy shit we go far to protect the game's integrity and the players. So it hurts twice as much when we hear that it seems like we don't care and we don't ban anyone, because it's extremely false. Our GMs are working their asses off and go great length and do a very good job with what they have. We do lack some tools that will allow us to have better contacts. And that is also why we have to rework the chat system so we can have some of those tools where we can simply leave a little note to easier respond back, you know, that thank you for your work that have led to specific steps that we have taken. And believe it or not, his anti-cheats from Epic Games are also flushing quite a few players from the game every now and then. They are working to update their system, their software constantly. They update it quite frequently. And then we obviously update it as well. But it's a cat and a mouse battle. It will never end. There will always be hackers and cheaters that will continue to do that. And we and Epic obviously will continue updating our systems to try to battle it as much as possible. And it's unfortunate as a small team that we have to spend a lot of time on it, and it steals development time from the game. But it's just how it is, and we know that. We don't have a date yet, Zero Life, but obviously we're gonna announce the PTR when it's time. And the PTR will help us to see a little bit where we are, you know, how far we are when it comes to balance. If we are finding new bugs, that will give us a good estimate on where we aim to release Reckoning. So we will update on the website and Discord when it's time to start PTR. And we'll probably run several rounds of PTR with some of this content split up so we can focus on it efficiently. So there are different levels of hackers blitz, and obviously there's many rumors that we don't do this or that, but in fact we do this or that. But there's still a level of hackers and cheaters that go beyond the normal skill sets. The normal hackers and cheaters we ban, and obviously checking hardware and such is all those basic things we do. And that cover maybe 95% of a casual cheater that tried to download or buy a cheating program. He get busted and he loses his stuff, and he have difficulties coming back. But then there are obviously another tier of cheaters that are pretty professional at what they're doing, but still, to a degree further than the casual step, which is more the struggle where we have to keep battle constantly. Generic, you're free to play another game if you don't like this game. No one is forcing you to be here, and no one want to hear your opinion when it comes to what you don't like in terms of that. If it was constructive feedback that I like this but I hate this, and you're a player that are committing and giving value, then we're happy to discuss. But just making such post is just insane. It's really ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, there's been discussing about subtime token for gold. I mean, there are several steps that we have been discussing and looking at. Some of them are quite bad and affect the game experience. Some of them may be not as bad. The only thing, again, we're a small team, so we spend 99% of our focus on trying to improve the game and make the best possible game, and that spare 1% goes to, what else of those side tracks could we cover. Obviously, if we slowly can grow the team, then, we have more resources to evaluate other steps, other side developments. But yeah, some people think it's a bad idea, some people think it's a great idea. And again, if there's so many mixed reaction on specific things, it may be easy for you to think, well, I think like this and my friend thinks like this, so it's a no-brainer. Star Wars should do it now. Why are they not doing it faster? There are more to it than that. You may be the minority thinking that, or it's like 50-50, or we cause so much more damage by changing something if we are not careful. That's why we can't just rush big changes for the game, because that may be devastating for the majority of our players. And also, again, small reminder, the majority is not vocal. They're not in here discussing daily things. Some of them only have a few hours a day or a week. They go in, enjoy the game. If they see the holy shit, now everything I worked for is completely changed, the rules changed, fuck that, I'm gonna leave the game. And those are reliable subscription-based players that are regularly coming back, playing every now and then. We need to be careful about core rules. If I grew up on UO, and if I wouldn't find MO2, I would definitely still be playing UO. God bless you, Henrik. Definitely not Serax. Awesome to hear. Yeah, I played also UO since day one, beta days, and played it for approximately 10-11 years. And yeah, it was an awesome experience. But it's so crazy. There's been nothing really to fill that gap, fill that experience up even today, which is crazy. That's why we had to do Mortal Online. And we know that we are not alone. But yeah, we need to reach out to more and new players. And obviously, no marketing means no one knows we may exist, which means it's hard to grow. So that's why we're going to push harder with our expansion releases this year. And, having a continent in North America, we will obviously have those that are not willing to commit if they don't have the same terms within the parry timings, just outside of the ping normalization window. You know, understandably, if they really want to be on competitive level PvP and they're just outside of that window, yeah, there's a difference, right? So there's quite a few players that are refusing to play until they can actually play on North America. So obviously that's going to open up a new pool of interested players and new players. The never-ending cash shop discussion. Indeed, indeed. Making a game for 20 years, still growing, slowly growing team. What the fuck, bro? So obviously we have not been in the same position for all these 20 years. Obviously, we've gone up and down in many different stages of development and company structure. Obviously, 20 years ago, we had nothing, right? And we started on MortalOnline in Unreal Engine 3. We didn't even have a network solution. You know, today, 20 years later, we are in a very much different position. And some phases when you're just on a heavy development and doesn't have, you know, proper revenues, investment on developing cycles, that you know, that changes things, right? Now we have a released game that are in a phase where, you know, we are in a pretty steady position. Obviously a little bit dry in the game right now because, you know, people want content. We've been waiting quite a bit for this expansion and another big expansion, the North American server. And we want to tie marketing tied to great gaming experience because then we get more value in the marketing. So there's always cycles that are very tricky to handle. And we can obviously not just grow every time. Sometimes we have been shrinking over the years when we had to focus on auto development cycles. And it takes time to learn and educate. And one very important thing is it's absolutely not a job for everyone. It's very, very extreme and specific when it comes to working with games, and especially this game. And in our company, it's not like working at Massive Entertainment or DICE. So, and we need to find the right skill set, the right team workers, and they have to enjoy it. And, you know, so there are many factors that forces us to go through a lot of developers until we find a good match. So it takes a lot of time to grow a company like this. Right, it's giveaway time. So we just tune in exclamation mark MO2 and I will roll the dice in a few seconds. Ah, stiff in my neck. Turbanase State, appreciate it. Thank you very much, and we appreciate you for supporting us. Do you think players in Brazil will have better ping on North American server compared to EU server? Some of the location we are testing, then yes, you have better ping there. You know, obviously there's a few location near West Coast that gives Asia market, Australia better ping. And we have a few interested players from Asian districts, and obviously huge markets slowly been growing in America. So we're testing from Central America to West Coast to see how it affects all region nearby, because it doesn't matter where we place it in North America. Everyone in North America are within the parry window threshold, but everyone outside, depending on distance, can get affected negatively again. So that's where we want to see where we tap into the most of interested MO players, and that's a little bit tricky. And yeah, did I say that we have new weapons and cool stuff coming in the Reckoning expansion as well. Being maybe better for Brazilian and A versus London. Yeah, yeah. On a development, I hear from years now, Mortal Online will always be on a development. It will always evolve and expand, just as the first one have done for 10 years. Yeah, I know there's several people that are expressing that they want a rogue type of style in Mortal, and that is the thievery assassination professions. I wanted that on day one, but if the community didn't want it that fast, you know, then I have adjusted that focus in the team. We have tried to tap into those that the majority wants, but there are some really cool things that I want with those professions, which obviously will make those types of players happy. We will see after Reckoning what the next phase of focus will be. There's a few ones that we think will be, you know, right choices. This kind of game is always under development, exactly. No, there won't be fist weapons with the expansion. You will have unarmed abilities though. That's what we're looking at. So a mage could tap into a few moves there. Okay, shit, let me catch up, guys. Sorry, I'm getting deluded here. Alright, 10 more seconds, exclamation mark MO2, and I'm rolling the dice. The Starman Stunner for wrestling mages, UOA. That's, you know, some of the skills abilities that I'm considering, that we are looking at. Makes sense and could add some interesting tactics. We will see. Oh, and we actually did the control walker to be automatically in this patch as well. So you don't have to cast the control after summoning a walker. Some of those quality of life, small things also happening. It will be two different patches. The North American continent will not be in Reckoning. They will be separated. It would be too much chaotic as well, with so many big crazy things in one go. All right, I will roll the dice. Yeah, I mean, I think we can do a new poll for the roadmap in future updates. We don't have to go on the old one all the time. Obviously, if we have new people active, different people active, then those numbers may change, right? But there's a few things where we slowly get into that we strongly believe we will tap into a lot of new player styles, interested players, and that's something we all benefit from and want, right? The more players we see online at any given time, the more fun this game becomes, more options for everyone to have unique, exciting gameplay experience. Indeed, definitely not Cerex, indeed. Right, let me catch up and I will do the roll now. Andy, the roll is happening now. Exclamation mark MO2, and I'm starting it. So here we go. Let me find it. Right, good luck everyone. Here we go. Bam! Rigged, eh? Rigged. Congratulations, Yuping Cooper, eh? Yuping Cooper is the winner. Let's see. Yuping Cooper. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, you have to whisper me. Send me a message. Yuping Cooper. So I can send you the code. We will announce when the PTR is starting. There will probably be several PTR rounds on this huge expansion. And when we are in those phases, that will give us a more accurate time estimate on what date could be a good release date. Yuping, are you here? Was he here, guys? Did I miss him? He spoke. All right. Can you send me a DM here on Twitch so I can send you the code? Skiba, we talked about the new regions for Mirland and the outpost that you control and defend and siege to claim those regions. Some of the bonuses and abilities and factories tied to those regions that you can benefit from as a player. There will be a recap and we will write information just like we did on a previous stream on the webpage, and we'll update that as soon as we can so you can go over it, because we are looking for feedback on all of this, suggestions on bonus and abilities, and of course balancing and testing will start on PTR. Why do you not do small updates each week? So there's also a line where if we build patches so frequently, we lose a lot of time for the coders especially. There's like a sweet spot where we lose more time every time we need to build something. A building process is quite complicated where we commit everything and build the actual patch and then test and confirm. That takes quite a bit of time. And if we have to do that, if we have to release something every week, we have to do many of those builds, and that will steal so many hours from the development. And it risks, you know, when there's many small deadlines, you have to commit something, it's wrong version, you have to update, commit, version control, struggle, and deadlines on those. So we lose a lot of efficiency development time if we do it that frequently. We were running once a month before when we released a huge patch every month. But we almost kill ourselves because holy shit, we stress so much to deliver awesome content almost every single month, 1.5. We got awesome feedback that we're killing it. We are rapidly releasing content, but we wouldn't survive in the long run by doing that. We couldn't get any sleep. So now we're trying to find that sweet spot. So that's why we can't just have so frequent patches, because we lose a lot of time on it, believe it or not. Is the framework for Mortal developed by you, or was it purchased? What I mean framework? So obviously we're using Unreal Engine 5, right, as the engine rendering the game. And we built the network solution that is the heart of the entire project. So we can do a crazy sandbox, completely open game with very few limitations. You know, 6 months. So we were talking about the expansion, right? I explained before why we wouldn't want to split up the expansion. And if we split it up, we wouldn't be able to call it expansion, because we would deliver half of the systems, you know, like first adrenaline system and then the abilities to use them. That wouldn't make sense, right? That was our plan initially. But when we had that stream, everyone said, why are you splitting it up? Let us get everything in one pack. You know, obviously that means longer development time. But we agree the game experience will probably be much greater if we spend some more time and, you know, implement all systems connected together and deliver them in a good way. And you know, again, our development cycles are not insane. If you're looking in other MMOs, how frequently they expand the game and release a lot of new content, we're talking many months. You know, we're not talking about small balance tweaks or small hot fixes. We're talking about a lot of new content, right? The team is killing it. So yeah, Unreal Engine 5, you can do awesome games very quickly, single player games, and you know, multiplayer of 64 players very easily, replicated network data. But if you want to go large scale sandbox MMO, then you have to write a whole new network engine. So that's one of the big things that have taken us 20 years to reach this point. That is also why, you know, there are some other games on Unreal 5, but they're not truly sandbox MMO, large-scale MMO games. They're tying thousands of servers, and they only support like 100 players on each server because that's Unreal Engine 5 network protocol. And that's extremely different from what we're doing here, where we can have thousands of players in one world and offer the biggest battle we've seen in Unreal 5 engine quality battle game, with also even more complex, much more complex combat system in terms of collision, traces, hitboxes, where you can have armor or not have armor, flying spells, real projectiles. It's extremely complex, and there's not really a single MMO that get close to that complexity and with those numbers and that view range we have. So the team have been extremely talented to make these insane, you know, functions possibly in Mortal Online using Unreal Engine 5. You, Pinkhoper, so I can't write to you because it says you have blocked Whisper from strangers in your settings and must start a conversation with you first. Why can't I respond? And what the hell is going on? I have my window. Let me update it. Wait. Okay, now it works. I had to update my window. It's bugged out or something. Yeah, PlanetSide 2 is a cool shooter. I love the first game, especially. I wasn't as a big fan of PlanetSide 2. I liked the first game, and that inspired me a lot with the great big battles. But, you know, that was the only thing you did in PlanetSide. You only shoot people. So obviously the complexity is extremely much simpler compared to Mortal Online, when you have melee combat, traces, collision in a whole different way. But I really enjoyed PlanetSide 1. I wasn't as happy with PlanetSide 2. And again, what did they do? Microtransaction and shit in PlanetSide 2, which just ruined a lot of game experience. I liked the first game a lot. Once a month patch is what I expect with a monthly sub, to be honest. It's a little bit unrealistic if you want proper content. Obviously, you know, we could try to do just minor things once a month, but again, we're losing a little bit time. You know, I think the sweet spot is more around 2 months, so we don't have to spend too much of our development time on building stuff and doing, you know, builds. It takes quite a lot of time, compile and build everything. But you know, this is a huge expansion, so obviously we're not planning to do huge expansions back to back. So we can probably expect to do some follow-up work after the expansion, obviously focusing if there's any bugs, and then maybe follow up on smaller things, a smaller patch, and then, you know, very short after, or I can't say short after, can't say anything on that, but we have a new continent obviously after Reckoning. So yeah, the absolutely biggest challenge in developing Mortal Online 2 is the network solution. One thing you build on the client, how it renders and behaves, that is a fraction of the work to make it work on a large scale MMO around thousands of players. So, you know, sometimes we say, holy shit, why didn't we do a small scale multiplayer game instead? It would be so easy and so fast. The complexity ramps up very quickly when you add a large scale MMO on it. But that's also what we're passionate about. We love, just imagine walking in a game and we find hundreds of players and talk to random people on VoIP. That is so cool and unique, and we love it. And it's quite unfortunate that there's nothing else on the market after all these years since your time. So that is why we did Omnimesh, which is our network solution that is uniquely built for Unreal Engine. And that tech is now available for the world, but we haven't really taken further steps there. But we are engaging discussions with a few major companies that truly understand the insanity we have managed to build with so little. Well, 20 years have passed, so it's something, right? But that is the core and heart of MortalOnline. All right, I got you, you pinger. I'm gonna send you the code now. 1 second. Congratulations, you pinger. Get some UE5 guys that can manipulate models and assets and just make the world feel more alive. The map is so big and so much. So that's also one of the challenges. There are several things that you obviously build in a certain way in Unreal Engine 5, right? But there's many things that ties to the network side of things, like all AI, collision, Namesh data. There's so many components that are not just Unreal 5. We have built this network system to work with Unreal 5, so it's very smooth work environment. But that means we can't just throw in an Unreal 5 expert and think that he can deliver everything, because it needs to work with the network solution. That is the unique part of it. If it again was a mod or a specific game like, I think Ashes of Creation and PAX Day is more, they're relying on Unreal 5 engine networking, which means if you have a Unreal 5 expert, then yes, it's much easier to contribute on anything, right? And you code, you do everything in Unreal 5. But we do the majority next to the Unreal 5 work. So yes, we have talented Unreal artists that do the Unreal 5 work. And then of course we have the coding both in Unreal 5 but also in the network solution. Both games are horrible. I mean, they look cool and unique in their own ways, right? But I wouldn't say they are true sandbox MMORPG games, right? Because they can't support thousands of players in the same world. If you have a siege and you're 100 people in that server, that's it. The defenders can't even log in because there's a network cap on Unreal Engine 5. You can always try to optimize and squeeze in a few more players, but it will never be the scale of MortalOnline because it simply doesn't work in that network. And that's what we've been building on 20 years, that we call Omnimesh, the network solution that allows us to have thousands of players in a world. 300 players in MMO. They have 100 players as a cap and they call it MMO. I guess everyone have different terms on what the numbers are needed to support in one area, one world, to call it MMO. But obviously, I agree, if you are in the hundreds in one server, that doesn't fully are entitled to be called a MMO, massively multiplayer online. I would say at least 1,000 players supported to be called a MMO. That's at least old school I'm coming from. You have to surpass 1,000 players to kind of be in a large scale. Obviously 500 is awesome, but 100 on one server means you can't have a huge siege even. So it's extremely limited. And that's where a lot of games are doing now. They call it MMO and they release them, they can have some cool elements, but they will never be true large-scale MMOs. Yeah, Dune Awakening is exactly the same thing. I think they call it the MMO, right? Survival MMO. But again, 100-player cap limits, and then they have thousands of servers. But I focus more on the survival, solo, small group environments, exploration, and some fighting. Combat looked a little strange though, but I haven't tried the beta. But yeah, another perfect example of Unreal 5 without a network, large-scale network solution. Did they remove the MMO tag? I guess that's, yeah. I guess that's exactly the reason, right? It does feel strange to call it a MMO if the cap is 100 players, right? So yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a little bit silly when everyone was silly or casually throwing around MMO, and the cap player was 100. That didn't make sense to me, but I don't know. You think the actual network solution would be able to handle the all-time peak players? So, since release, we went through pure hell. I'm sure some of you guys were here on our release days. It was pure chaos, and everything that didn't go wrong went wrong, and so on, right? So that was quite nightmare for us. We thought we were in a better position capacity-wise than we were. We did a lot of testing. We extended the testing phases, and every time we got a new push and rush, we got a lot of players during that phase. We run into all those issues that we wanted to run into, and we solved them one at a time until we had no more issues. Obviously, we will understand that if we completely explode the barrier every time, there would be new issues to deal with, right? And then we couldn't get more players after those huge numbers. When we got, you know, some of those big players, Lyric, Asmongold, Easter Daniel, they really helped us to get up in those numbers to find a lot of new issues. And we managed to solve all of those. And then we've quadrupled those numbers on release, and everything went to hell. So yeah, we had to work extremely hard to slowly get back on track, and we had to have dedicated engineering, just optimizing the network solution, multi-threading everything that was, you know, hitting new capacity. And we have done insane work since that day. We haven't really gone close to any of those limits. There was a time again when we got a lot of, you know, close to 3,000 numbers where everything was stable and fine. We had a battle with around 500, I think it was 480 players at most, in one area node where everyone was fighting. I think you remember the Act battle, right? Insanity. Everyone was having a blast. Everything was working perfect, minus the FPS. Because holy shit, it was crazy. And that's where we kind of saw, okay, that was probably the best stress test we have since then. That showed us we have really good capacity now on the nodes. We could see all the load. And we're quite happy to see that we are in a great position capacity-wise. Yeah, it's absolutely gone up every of those sessions that we worked on optimizing the network as well. And obviously that pushed more demand on the FPS, right? The FPS was quite horrible initially in the first phases in Unreal 5. We worked extremely hard to optimize it, and finally we see the result of that. I'm sure you guys have experienced the difference from previous Unreal 5 builds to the latest we released. We got a huge leap forward, and we got another one huge leap with the Reckoning, because we know obviously there will be a new influx of players, new and old, but also we have invasions and TC wars going on, so we will have many more mobs on the screen at the same time, and we can't run around with 5 FPS then. So we have further optimized large-scale battles and made that run much better. We're gonna present that as well. So you should be able to see a even better FPS with the Reckoning patch when you have large-scale mobs and players on the screen. So that's gonna be exciting. So yeah. Tells the monthly cost to run the game. So we have a subscription-based model. Depending on your commitment, it goes down to around $11 on average per month. We have regional-based as well, depending on where you live. So it is under the standard MMO subscription costs. But yeah, that's the current subscription monthly. We need ammo tables. So we're actually building some of that now for the sieging camps, outpost camps. So there may be some of those options for keeps and strongholds, roofs. So every now and then we have that suggestion, Ludwig, that there are community artists that can contribute to content, and you know that works in many what is it called, community driven games that just evolves and expand with mods, right? Skyrim mods, perfect example, and just explodes due to that, and that's awesome and high value in it. And in some way, you know, we would almost wish that that was possible, but there's a few challenges that makes it very difficult for our type of game. First, again, we have the MMO solution, the network solution. No one knows the requirement for that, and we have very specific systems that we have developed to make sure we can support hundreds of players on the screen with good FPS in Unreal Engine 5 and everything in real-time combat, traces, collision, insanity, and still have good performance. That is only doable with very specific coded system that we have built for Mortal Online and our network. So first of all, if we just get a model, if we put it in the game, nothing is going to work because you can't craft it, the material is wrong, the entire system pipeline for characters and gear will be wrong, right? So that means we need to educate this person, or someone at our team needs to rework everything, which is, you know, half the work of building it from the beginning. So that makes it very tricky that we can't just contribute by getting free content and just put it into the game. It needs to go through quite a few sessions for it to be optimized and work with our system and be, you know, work. So yeah, that is the struggle. I mean, people can come up with a lot of cool, great designs and suggestions, and sometimes that can help us. Yeah, that's really cool, you know. Let's take that style from that and tweak it forward. So I'm not answering any questions. That's exactly what I'm doing. Answering questions all the time. So yeah, that is the elaborated answer on. It's not that easy just to get content from the community, sadly. Even though we know that there's a lot of talent in the community. Mr. Rantagonism, thank you for the Prime 30 months. Appreciate it. Keep up the great work. Love your game. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. So how hungry are the bugs going to be for TC? How hungry they're going to be? We will see during PTR. True, that's true. I know what you mean. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you know, sometime maybe a pure 3D model, just building it, following the rules of how many polygons and so on. And then I guess if we create the material and such, there could be some, you know, trade there. But yeah, like I said, it's far from straightforward. That's something we looked into early on when there were actually talent reaching out. So it's awesome. The bugs be bringing any new armor materials to the game? Ah, okay. Yes, there are actually a few new recipes coming with Reckoning patch. Some really awesome weapons. Can't wait to show you guys. You guys consider mini bosses or special mobs in the game world that randomly spawn? They could drop unique loot, kind of like WoW's rare mobs. Yeah, that is a little bit what we're tapping into with the Tagmat animation. They will have some specific drops and loots. And there's quite a lot of depth and interesting things that ties to it that you're gonna explore there will be packed content tied to the invasion that people can participate in different ways. So yeah, there are some specific events that lines up with the tagmatons where they can invade, and obviously there will be specific buses or mini buses in those. What do you know about Husk Weave, Steve the Ninja? And here's a Ghost Trial Highway separate. So you know, we had the votes on it, right? It was fairly up there, but it didn't make the top 10, right? You know, we will update that soon enough when we deliver our 2 big expansion this year. We obviously gonna see what's the next phase. How do we build the next patches, right? Bomb 79. We appreciate you though. We appreciate you. We'll announce when PTR is ready. We don't plan to do any wipes in the game. We don't see any reason for it, and it will only push away quite a few committed players from the player base, which would be lowering the player base. I don't think we have that much power creep compared to any other MMO in the world. Probably the lowest tier in the world, I would say. And I've tried them all. So I guess it matters on what you compare it with, what type of game. We have to remember this is a sandbox MMORPG persistent world with lots of expanding content over many years to come. We still have plans to make Haven free to play, but we haven't set the date. We're not working on it right now, but we plan to eventually do that step. The better, more enjoyable the game and the combat is for all new players, it is, the better after that marketing and mass wave of new players entering the game it is, in that order. Do you see? Does it make sense? If there's a higher rate that a new players stay, enjoy the combat, and get addicted to the game, you know, we want those components to be in the game before it makes sense to marketing the game more and invite completely new players that never heard about the game. We have to see with the priest question along with this patch. Faism, I'm not entirely sure exactly what we are doing there in this patch. There will be breeding eventually. That is one of those things that have been on the votable roadmap list. It didn't make the top 10, that's why it's not currently on the pipeline. But you know, after this expansion, we'll most likely tap into the community to do a fresh new vote on the possible things, and we will see what builds the next patches. The White Tulip, yeah, we do have 6-month commitment with quite decent discounts. You know, obviously there's always room for more and different types of packages for those that are interested in supporting us with greater commitment. We just have to see where it fits, right? I think fletching was also on the votable roadmap, didn't make the top 10. We're always looking into different money sinks in the game. Obviously, it's always a challenge, right? But we do keep close track of the gold, how it grows every day in the game. We have reports of that daily. We can see going in and out. And yeah, lottery actually did a huge thing there. It made quite a few players quite poor and very few people a little bit rich. But yeah, there are more table games and things that we think that we can add that are going to be enjoyable, that some of them could work as money sinks. But you guys rely on bringing new players. So yeah, I did commented on that quite elaborately earlier in the stream. There are several things, you know, along with content improvements, marketing, influencers, that we are lining up with the big expansion. And when we're taking the North American server, we have a lot of players from North America that are on the further end that refuse to play. They want to be competitive. They don't want to be just outside of the ping normalization window. Obviously, they all can enjoy the game on the same terms when we deliver that content. So we hope to be able to tap into new audiences. We are evaluating the position of that server. If we are on West Coast, we can also tap into Australian and Asian market more. And there are quite a few from those regions. As long as there's a North America server located in North America, everyone living in North America will be within that window, so they don't have to worry. I hear a few say, holy shit, I hope it's not West Coast or East Coast. You don't have to worry as long as you are in North America, because you are within the ping range. We have checked cross West, East Coast to see where we land ping normalization wise. The question is if Europe or Asia is going to be able to tap into it as well or not. All right, let me scroll down. I'm always falling behind, guys, if there's any last final question, because I see I'm running overdue. Was the ping cap removed? No, we have a ping normalization and prediction system in place, and it works very well up to 150 latency. So as soon as you tap into higher, that's when you start to notice a difference when you have the parry window. And that's pure distance, right? If you're gonna go beyond that. A new video from Asmongold on the game would be huge. Yeah, but Asmongold is not the right player for this game. He can't stand first-person games. Already there, we are doomed, right? And I don't think he is as into a more advanced, high-skill, combat type that we offer. You know, he's good at World of Warcraft, and it's a very different combat experience, right? So, you know, he's probably not the correct player that can, you know, fully enjoy and understand Mortal Online and therefore also sell it in to interested players. However, there are obviously many other great streamers. I really enjoyed watching Lyric stream the game, and he played it like 3 or 4 times, a few hours every time, and he really enjoyed it because holy shit, it was perfect for his audience. You know, VoIP, crazy situation. He's really good at those types of game. He really mastered the combat, you know, to a noob level, but still could handle it very quickly, so he could survive into the game world. And he just has some awesome, super funny, entertaining streams with other players using VoIP. So that was a perfect success, and he gave us a lot of players. And, you know, there are many, you know, decent-sized and medium-sized streamers, influencers that we know can enjoy it. We had, you know, Summit and some of his friends last summer that tried the game a little bit. Some of his friend is hooked and playing the game, but they are waiting on the North American server and said that, you know, they all want to go back and go full out when they can play on a North American server, because they are on the West Coast and or outside of the ping normalization window. And some of them are quite competitive, so they want to have that window open for them. So obviously, you know, we are excited if they want to revisit and have some stream sessions to show the game, that we have gone very far from our last big attention from some of those big streamers. Yeah, absolutely clean, awesome streamer, really nice guy. He understands game development, you know, extremely reasonable. He pointed out some of our issues, but he also pointed out the things that makes the game great, exciting, and why he enjoys the game. He also been on and off, you know, over several months playing the game, and has some really awesome streaming sessions. Very enjoyable as well to watch when he played with different players. So absolutely, really nice guy. So yeah, absolutely, it's gonna be exciting to see if we can make a huge re-invite wave along with our expansion, especially with the North American server, where they obviously can try the lower ping ratio as well and see how the game plays for them. Nave should be priority to get back after Reckoning and Sarika, but that will require you to reach out to him personally. So, I mean, I always liked Nave. You know, I've always been extremely transparent and open, and, you know, try to explain all the chaos that happened initially in the release. And he always been a nice guy. And, you know, I invited him specifically as a special guest, including with Clean and some other streamers. But at one point, I think he heard a lot of rumors from disgruntled players that I'm lying and making up features that we're not going to have. And that's a bit unfortunate if people listen on that, because most people that know me, that have been here for several years, knows the explanation that I always point out. But those trolls don't point that out that I'm making when I say something. So they leave those words out perfectly, which means, holy shit, that sounds outrageous. So if you hear that, you know, and bad things happen in the game and you're exhausted, you know, you can draw those negative conclusions. So I fully understand it, and I don't blame anyone, right? It's just a little bit unfortunate if that is the case, which I suspect it is. I always try to be very clear on when I say things and talk about future updates. I always say we don't have a date on it. This is our goal. We have the design, but it could come this year or the next year or in 3 years, you know. So, but yeah, he also have that, you know, very rough stream tendency where they are very mean to each other and go full out, and that can be very entertaining, and a lot of people enjoy that, and you know, a lot of people enjoy watching that. So I also understand that, you know, that's his style, right? He's quite harsh on his team players when they mess up and bash them to death, almost in a rude way. But you know, it seems like that gang, that's what they enjoy, right? So that's nothing strange in that. But you know, I have no what is it called? No ill. What the hell is the word I'm looking for? I hold no grudge, right? I hold no grudge against anyone that reasonably have enjoyed the game and understand the game in the long run, right? Well, Jonas said he won't come back without the wipe. I mean, every new continent and every new expansion, it is like a wipe. And it, again, just think about it, what a wipe would do. Yes, we will lose a huge portion of the game, and some people may come back temporarily in a rush, and then when everything is mapped out again, then what? We have just shrunk the player base. It makes no sense, and all the data points that would be very bad to do. We understand why a lot of competitive PvP players want it, because there would be an exciting rush initially, right? But the long run, we have lost. And this is a persistent game. That will be new rushes, new races, every single expansion. So if they can get past that and see, okay, there's a new time window to start the game, that is with the new continent, an expansion, because there will be so much new to participate, explore, and benefit and discover. So, you know, yeah, it's not rust. So probably the best situation for them to start them will be with the North American server, because that will be a new race. So I think the problem, Henrik, is that you have been talking for a very long time about certain features which are not still in the game. I think you should just stick to a priority list on what the staff is working on for the next 2-3 patches tops. Yeah, exactly. So and I agree, and that's what I'm trying to do. But when you guys that are really awesome, that have been following the project and saying, holy shit, I'm really excited about this feature, would that ever come, Henrik? Should I then say, I can't discuss it because some guys and some trolls will be furious when that doesn't come in the next patch. If I mention, yes, it will come, even though I say it will not come in next patch, maybe not this year, because we haven't voted on it. Or after when we vote, bam, it's gonna be in the next patch or the second patch because the people have voted. Can't I be that transparent and continue on that path and share all that great news with you guys and build a game with you guys? Am I really forced to say, sorry, my mouth can't move because there's always one troll that lies to people? Isn't that sad? Should we be controlled by one asshole? Is what I'm getting to. You know? Maybe we have to be more shut. I don't know. But I would hope not. So ignore the earthquake question. I can't say exactly. I don't know. So I asked the community if there's a majority in one way. No, it wasn't. Of course. So we're talking about 50-50 again. So what is the correct solution then? Do we really rush a solution and we don't know how many are going to be upset? And, you know, is that a proper solution? When I think we even did a survey on some of those. And if it's close to a 50-50, it's not a popular thing to do, right? But if it would be like a 70 plus on one side, then it's quite easy. Just like Ashram's call, right? If you surpass 70%, the majority will be happy. But that's rarely our case, and it's extremely frustrating because it puts us like, oh, it's so obvious, Henrik, do it. But no, if it's 50-50, how can it be obvious then? Even sometimes it's even less. So those are extremely challenging to handle. I didn't call you guys an asshole. I'm talking about the troll that fools Jonah Vale, for instance. That I promised this feature and it's not coming. It's not yet in the game. No, sometimes we have to wait months or years for some things to come into the game. That's what I'm saying. But they leave that out. They tell Jonah Vale, he's such a liar. Do you know what he said? He said that feature is coming in the next patch, and now it's never coming. It's never coming into the game. You know, I try to explain that step that, yes, I want to answer your question. We have plans for this or that feature, but I don't know in what patch it releases in. How Jonah Vale wouldn't be upset if he heard that, right? He could say, shit, man, I really want it now. Don't wait on that. That's a fair comment, right? And all of you guys have some of that power when we vote on the roadmaps. The top 10 already made it into the game, you know, based on that. Top 10 huge features. There's a lot of exciting things with Thievery, and I want it early in the game. As long as people don't fully downvote it, which is sadly happened a little bit on the roadmap, I do want it in game because it ties to not only PvP stealing. There's some really cool feature there, and a little tap into rogue style that I know a lot of people are interested in. So if we can perhaps explain that more, maybe it gets a better support by upvoting as well. But again, some may say, well, we don't listen to the community. That's exactly what we're doing. We're adding things based on popularity on votes. So we're actually listening almost too much then on the community. You know, if you're mad at things coming into the game, it's because we listen that much on the community. We know that people will never fully agree on all this, but if the majority are happy to play with this and that, we should prioritize those development things, I think. That's what we're trying, at least. No ETA on dimension runs. It was quite high up when we did a vote last time. So eventually, you know, after the expansion, we're gonna do a new vote to see a little bit where we stand with what people want. You know, then maybe we're looking at those features that were quite high up but didn't fully make the top 10. So that would determine most likely when they go into the game. Yep, I'm here, love the game, and will never stop play. Thank you and your team for your hard work. Appreciate Mr. Rant Agonism. Appreciate it. I've been a break for a while, and I'm wondering if maybe combat will change with the build. Turn caps, curious if it will have changed in a major way from current system. Con 64. So there's a huge system going on, right, with the combat abilities. It's one of the big part that we're working on. It's going to be fun both to fight in PvP and PvE. That is the plan. Obviously, the task of balancing this will be a challenge, but I think with your help, we can hopefully pinpoint that there are no game-breaking imbalance at least, and then fine-tune from there. And the goal is that you will have plenty of new tactics that we can strengthen the spins to be the fully meta. You know, there's a few different options, making it more strict or add a more harsh penalty on doing those spins. So you simply don't do it constantly. You will rely more on the new tactics and tools. That is the goal. Because the majority probably, I'm not sure exactly, but many have pointed out, obviously, we don't like the spinning meta. But then some people loves it, thinks it's cool, they feel like a ninja and they're mastering it. And there's a lot of skills to it, even though it may be silly for some. But in our vision, we didn't intend that that would be the meta. That's something that players create naturally. So we hope that we will add new options and tactics that will replace the majority of the spin meta. Hope that makes sense. So we will see during the PTR if we can get closer to that vision. I'd be surprised if Jonah and his company didn't come back after an A server reckoning. Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen him cycling in many of those games that he bashed very hard on. For instance, the game he played before MortalOnline, what was it called? Also Unreal Engine 4 game. More like Rust, not fully MMO scale. Pretty cool game with those vehicles in the desert, right? He bashed that game hard and said he would never played it. And I think he went back and played it for quite a while. So naturally to cycle, right? Depending on what's in the mood. Of course, we shouldn't be, you know, speculating on what some of our streamers, influencers will be playing or not. We are obviously here for anyone interested in MortalOnline, and we have some very exciting packed content for all of you guys. Yeah, I commented on the earthquake question a minute ago. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure. Let's see, final here. Don't release the new content without adding TC to it. So first we're releasing Reckoning and then the continent. Need to explain how 3 will be not be just a bank griefing mechanics then. Yeah, exactly. I guess some people were afraid that it's just going to be a bank griefing, right? We're going to hit that hard. It's not meant to be the main mechanic behind thievery that you grief hard in bank naked. We're going to hit that hard with balance, and we're going to offer more PvE in other areas where you can benefit as a thief rogue as well, not only finding victims in the bank, right? But also a fair balance where you can actually try to do some theft against players should be part of it, but very much more balance, right? And I think that needs to be clear. Then yeah, maybe more people will actually vote and enjoy thievery. Stop listening to the community. We have to find a balance, right? I think we need to have a balance because there's a lot of great value, feedback, and data from the community. Some of it speak for itself and some doesn't, so yeah. He literally just talked about EQ and people are still spamming. Stop ignoring the earthquake question. Perfect timing. You didn't ignore it. Perfect. So I guess you didn't hear me then. But yeah, there will always be a recap. So we're always clear when it comes to when we're building the roadmap and the votes. We're going to make it very clear that this is the content being worked on, so there can't really be a misunderstanding then that, you know, where's this or that? Well, this is the roadmap. This is what we focus on, right? And of course we update if something have to change during that due to various reasons that could be. that sometimes have happened. In-game voting will be best, me think. Yeah, we have the in-game voting function now, so we can utilize that more. Want the chicka boom for the fletching, eh? Yeah, it was on the roadmap if I'm not mistaken. Didn't make the top 10, but eventually, right? Eventually, you know. When we deliver all those top 10, then obviously there will be a next top 10 that will make it over time. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess the 1 hour overtime will have to be my mark for today. I'm a little bit tired, been working very hard in so many ways with the company. Can we get the ability to rebind our mouse wheel? I will love that personally as well. I want to utilize my mouse in some ways, so we have to see where that may fit. But yeah, let's see if we have someone we should raid, guys, shall we? Let's see. So again, if you missed the stream, feel free to read our recap, and we're gonna post information on the website like we did with the invasion. And we're very happy to hear feedback on suggestions on bonuses for regions, buffs, functions. Obviously, if there was something very obvious wrong with the base layout that I quickly run through, you know, like increasing the wall heights maybe. If we need collision blocking from one side or not. I'm not sure about that. Some of those things. But we'll discuss them more, and you can feel free to discuss and post on the forums, and we're going to take a look there as well to summarize what you guys also give us feedback. And yeah, there will be, we are looking at some changes on the actual keep siege mechanics. Like I said, I explained the difficulties with that. There is no solution, and the majority are not agreeing on major changes, and we can't just make it easy mode, wipe a base when you're sleeping, because we're losing players that way. It needs to be hard, needs to cost a lot and be difficult and a big investment. So it's not the best, the most fun to wipe someone from the game, but you're also removing players from the game while doing so. So it can't be easy that way. That is why we're adding a new type of siege mechanics that should be easy, can tap into it with your friends on a daily basis and have fun and get great rewards. Much better improvement system. So that is clear to the majority. All right, let's do a little quick poll, shall we? Okay, 1 minute quick vote, and I will do a raid, and we will say hello to the winner. Why is code to get in 2 towns under a keep? So we're not looking at what guild gets what. We're trying to make a natural geographic Mirland that has its natural regions already that makes sense to kind of like what's it called, not countries, but you know, regions. But again, if there are some severe issues with that and the player base point that out, that there's a problem in some of that, then obviously we will look into that. But again, we don't look into specific guilds or areas. We don't even know where the guilds are because we're not participating with that whatsoever. We are non-biased. Rans it is. Or what is it, Chinese or Japanese? Our Asian long-term player, a really cool guy, won the raid today. You don't know where code to keep is? Okay, got it. I know they are playing in Meduli, but I don't know how many keeps or houses or whatever they have, because I don't monitor guilds in that way. But I know they always lived in Meduli or around Meduli. But if there's, like I said, if there's a big issue balance-wise for some reason, because someone lives there or there, you know, point that out, and we will see if there's something we can do or not. Again, we are totally unbiased, and we don't look on, you know, that. Right. Let me raid Ranston. Where the hell is the raid button? There. Right, again, give your feedback. If you find any issues, point them out and we'll take a look, right? That's all we can do. And then PTR starts, we will announce it, and we will have a recap right about this on the website as soon as we can. Maybe tomorrow or this week. All right. Let's do the raid. Okay, thank you everyone for tuning in today, participating, and all of your questions, subscriptions, donations. We really appreciate it. And next stream will be very exciting as well, when we focus on compatibilities. So don't miss that. We will update on the website as usual, so you know when. And let's say hello to Rens, our good old Fabernum player, eh? Fabernum, right? All right, have a good one, and good night. Bye-bye.